that. Andy is going to regale us with his tale of how he came from Germany to the land of opportunity and why America is the greatest country in the world from a guy who is not from here. And tell us his success story and how he made it twice.
Yeah.
How he had the... Because I wrote about this stuff in Mastering Yourself. And, Andy was a big part of that back in the day. He was there to see it all. And so he had the same thing because he was in real estate. So he saw his career go up, and then it went when the market crashed. And then now it's back up. So give us like the 50,000-foot view of the 90s when you arrived. Why did you come to America? Why here? From where? From Australia, right?
No, from Germany.
But you were in Australia before that.
Was before them, yeah. So let's just not go all the way back to Australia. I mean, I was 20 or 21 as a DJ. It started when I was 21, starting in the business of my dad in the financial/real estate business in Berlin. My dad was a top producer of a financial company, a national company in Germany. And when I came back from Australia, he gave me two choices. You can rather do this, or you can be on your own and do whatever you want to do. But here is a golden opportunity. And I actually took that opportunity, got mentored or got taught by my dad in the financial industry, became very successful very quickly because of my dad's guidance, basically. And after 3-4 years being in this field, I was recruited, we mentioned that earlier in the face first, by two brokers from Orlando, Florida. They bought a couple of properties in Berlin, felt they were worked with very well. They enjoyed the time, how we did business in Germany, and invited me over to work in their office / run their office in downtown Orlando. So they provided the working visas, the H-1B2, I think it's what's called, which gave me permission to work in the United States for 2 years. Took the opportunity. I was 26 years old, traveled over, thought everything is nicer here than I would have had over there, and I was pretty successful already in Germany, but we always look for the next best thing, next best high. And so traveled over, got my real estate license, and started working in their office, which didn't work very well. Didn't work out, basically, so I jumped around for about a year till I found my position, I guess, with a English broker who sold short-term rental properties in Orlando, which was a big market back in the mid to late 90s. Did pretty well with it, made a lot of money very quickly, spent more money than I was making, basically. That was around.
Dude, when I first met Andy, he couldn't even balance a checkbook. I actually taught him how to do that, how much money, because he would just write checks and pay things and just assume he had enough money in the bank account.
Kind of, sort of, yes. So anyways, when I met Corey, actually, that's how our story started. I had very little money, basically a few $100s in my account. Had all the talent in the world, but no way of showing it or, mastering it in the business I was so accustomed to. So Corey met me, we hit it up on a private level. The business came a little bit later, but anyways, he said, listen, why don't you start working with me? I'm opening up this retail office in the mortgage industry, and I think you'll be the right fit for it. So started with it. He paid all my bills for about 2-3 months. I can't remember. I moved into one of his rooms, and after 3 months, I became vice president of the company. We had a bunch of people, trained them, and became very successful very quickly. So I became independent.
And he was a top producer 5 years in a row.
Right, that's a given. Yeah, nobody could touch
Cinco.
me.
Wow.
We had the $300,000 commissions coming in. Out of those, I made 65%, basically. And the other people of that brought in the difference. But anyways, it's a passion. It's something I did from the hip. It wasn't really something, there's a plot to it. It's really how much do you like what you do, how much you put into it. And I went to the office at 8 a.m. in the morning and got home at 10 o'clock at night.
You were hungry, though.
Oh, yeah, ambitious.
I could tell when I met him that he just had talent. He had gift of gab. He was a superstar. I've always been good at identifying good quality people, and he was looking for an opportunity, and I was looking for good people that could convert the leads that I had in real estate and mortgages to sales commissions, so the revenue would come back for the advertising that I was doing. And plus, we'd been friends, I think, for about a year prior to that, just hanging out socially with some other mutual friends of ours. And he had kind of come to the end of the road where he was at, and I was like, it was just perfect timing. It just seemed like the universe lined things up.
Anyway, so we started becoming very successful in our mortgage and real estate entrepreneurship, whichever way you want to call it. Endeavors, okay.
Endeavors.
And moved to a big building after about 1 year working out of a sweatshop in cubicles, doing cold calling and selling 12% interest rates. But anyways,
it was like 1,600 square feet, that first one. We were there
less
for
than that,
2 years.
1,400.
We were there for 2 years, I remember.
2 years. But we had little cubicles,
no, actually, you're
stations.
right. I think it was maybe 1,200. It was just a little, like, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It was converted to like an office building. It had gotten rezoned. I think it had termites, and they kind of did a half-assed job of repairing the building. Kind of hid a lot of the wood damage. It later got knocked down years after we moved out. I think it's an ABC liquor store now.
I shopped there today. And I keep reminiscing about where that bottle of vodka was.
Wait, so that was a house that you turned into an office?
Yeah. Because they rezoned it. It was right off the main road. So all those houses that were like 3 or 4 houses in got rezoned and turned into office building.
No kidding. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was flattened out way after we actually moved on to bigger things. Corey and his partners back then were able to work out a lease purchase couple years later, and we
2001
upgraded to like 10,000 square feet or something.
That was 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Man.
Anyways, 10,000 square feet, and that's where everything started going really well. We hired a lot of processors, loan originators, new agents we trained. We separated like the first 3 agents, including myself, into groups or teams. We had our own sub-agents, processors, loan officers, and the competition was on. And because everybody wants to be better than the other, and as I'm a very competitive guy, I always wanted to be number one, and I did it consistently every single year. So when we had deals pending by the 22nd or 23rd of the month and expected about $350,000 of commissions to come in, and we only had closed 80,000 or 100,000, the pressure was on me. Annie, what the fuck? Get this money. I need the money. I need to pay the advertising bill of 45,000, this, and this, and the other. And I was like, okay, no problem. Didn't break a sweat. Yelled around a little bit and looked through where it needs to be some assistance, if it was with the underwriter of the loan, if it was with the agent, with the buyers, whatsoever. And we always came through. I think we always met our quota.
Yeah, our revenue doubled every year for like 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
Before the market went.
Yeah. So, anyways, fast forwarding, as we all become more successful, we become more, let's just say, geared towards different areas, different interests. Interests between Corey and mine were a little different at the end after 5 years. And we did actually part ways after five years successful working together. We just couldn't find the same vision or agreeing on the same vision to move forward with the business. So we separated pretty much in a peaceful, maybe not wanting matter, but we separated, and I did my thing, he did his thing. I opened up my own. Actually, no, I didn't even open up. I just worked for another mortgage and real estate company, which was suffering at that time. And I brought them up a little bit more successful, so I made somebody out of nothing a little bit more successful, actually pretty successful, till I opened up my own firm. Then, the market tanked. We had, $1.5 million of loan volume outstanding to be closing, and the money didn't come in anymore. All these deals collapsed because Lehman and Goldman and all these wholesale lenders collapsed, which created basically no more income to my business.
And I was out of the business by then.
You probably, I
cashed out of all my properties at that point.
That was in, it was in 2008.
The other thing you got to remember is the market had changed. You remember that last year people were bitching. They were going, oh, we're selling an outdated product. It's like these 80-20 loans. And because part of the problem is, the appreciation. You had houses that had been like $150,000, $160,000 just a few years before, and now they're $300,000. And then on top of that, you get 5 or 6 people bidding on that property, and they're putting 30, 40, 50 grand down because they had sold their previous house, so they had a lot of equity. And we're coming to the table with these buyers that got, maybe 4 or 5 grand, and they're ready to buy a first-time house. And so we're asking them to pay closing costs, and they got very little down, and yet you got people throwing tens of thousands of dollars as a down payment and doing a conforming loan. So it was like, a lot of times they had a better offer. And so, you'd end up selling 3 or 4 houses before you get one that you get a mutual agreement, meaning you get a contract on it and it would actually close. And so now you're doing like 3, 4, 5 times the amount of work for the same deal. Whereas before we would breeze in on a Saturday in shorts and T-shirts and flip-flops, make a contract. We're the only offer on the table, get accepted, close in a few weeks, and you're making tens of thousands of dollars. And it changed like that. It was about, I don't know, a year and a half when things they appreciated like ridiculously. Like the home builders, you remember them? They were, hey, please come in, show our houses. And then they were doing like lotteries where you'd have maybe, 300 lots, and you'd have 2,000 people that wanted to buy those lots. And so they would do like drawings for the privilege of buying one of those properties. And then those same people and the new home builders that were taking us to happy hour and kissing our ass a few years before, they weren't even returning our phone calls. And they were blowing us off, and they were real arrogant dicks about it because they're like, we got 300 lots and we got like 2,000 people that want to buy them. So, hey, screw you guys. Why would we want to do a deal with you and have to give up 3% and share the commission when we can just sell them all on our own? And then the market cratered, and those same guys, they were calling us again, begging us to show their properties.
Yep. Well, basically, that's true. So, 08, 09, financial crisis hit. Me personally got affected by it. I had to close my doors. Real estate firm, mortgage brokerage, had, 5 grand, 10 grand left in my bank account. I was expecting to get another 40,000 commissions, which never came. So, had to turn in my SL 500, had to turn in my E350, my Mercedes, my BMW. I negotiated with my bank, SunTrust at the time, to float me 1-2 months the mortgage payment till I didn't have any more income, and then I had to pack it up. I had to go bankrupt. Had to move away back to New York, close everything, leave everything behind, what was of value, and try to find myself. I guess 09, between 08 and 09. And then 2010, January 2nd, phone call. I want to buy some properties in cash. The market is down. The prices are cheap. Can you help me? One of my best clients who I financed 5 years earlier, multiple different investment properties. So I packed my bags, took my last little money, bought an one-way ticket to Orlando from New York, stayed at a very good friend's house. He gave me one of his rooms to live, didn't have to pay anything, didn't have a car at all, had to borrow a car from Mike Metters, our Fox account executive for T advertising. It was an old Beetle, half gas, half oil, no AC. It was just fucked up, Anyways, but I showed my first properties with an old car, opened the doors, sold one, sold the second, sold the third. It was a what is it called, a snowball effect, because for $27,000, $30,000, you can only buy so many condos. And then the foreclosure market was very strong. Nobody wanted to buy because they didn't know where this market's going to go. Is it going to fall any further? So one bought. He was referring me to the CPA, to his best friend, to this one. So it went international, went to Canada, to Bangladesh, India. They all started buying. So my first year in 2010, I had 64 transactions, from what I remember. I think it was 64. Unheard of. Didn't mean I was making $650,000 because these were small little condos. But then it happened, well, what am I going to do with this one condo? I need to find a tenant. Well, the investor or the buyer says, well, can you find me help? Find a tenant. It's like, sure. I'm going to charge you half a month or full month rent. Well, can you manage the property for me? Sure. $50 a month. I think that's how I started, 2010. So from 1, it went to 15.
In other words, they were happy with the service, and then they said, well, you do these other things for us. And so your clients demanded a new service, in essence, and then that was an opportunity for another revenue stream.
And I didn't want to do it, though, at the initial, because I didn't want to deal. We were talking about 2010-11, when properties were renting for $500-$600, what now is double the amount. So I have no clue about property management. I don't know about what the laws and rules and what you can do, Florida Landlord and Tenant Act, eviction, 3-day notices, things of that nature. So I just winged it. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it, you know. Well, what's the big deal? You know, I was originating $1 million loans. What's the difference of finding a tenant? So I started 1 to 10 to 15. That was all easy.
For a fraction of the money that you used to make.
For peanuts on the dollar. Well, I was happy. After 2 months staying at my friend's house, actually I was able to rent my own apartment for $700. The one I sold that to the investor. I said, I'm going to rent it right back. Because I knew it was clean, because I fucking inspected it. I sold it, right? So steam cleaned the carpet with the company, got a host on the steam cleaning bill by $300, which should be like $100. But anyways, moved in and lived there for 2-3 years. I don't even know, 2-3 years. Sold properties, built the company up by myself, and then during that time met my now wife, who assisted me and helped me.
You were already dating, because you guys met like in
2008 or 9. Yeah. We were dating on and off.
But you kind of dated on and off.
Right. We weren't quite sure about each other yet, because I had a history of continuously dating multiple women, right? Yeah. But anyway, so that all balanced out, and we moved in 2013 to Toronto.
He was a wandering nomad.
So the point is, fast forwarding to where we are now, we built the company together. I must say my wife helped me tremendously about it. Running the scenes behind dispersing the money to the owners, paying HOA dues, dealing with tenants' requests, things of that nature, till we hired the sales manager, property manager, to assist us with that, because we're up to 170 now. I think we peaked at about 190, but nowadays some of these investors are selling properties off because we doubled, tripled in value over the last 10 years. So they're cashing in and they're reinvesting their profits into new construction or other different real estate properties or areas they envisioned over the last few years. So that's where we are now, and we are continuously growing. The market is good. The future looks bright for state of Florida. The U.S. probably has multiple different markets which are growing rapidly over the last 4 or 5 years, but COVID or not, we don't see any stop or any break or any slowdown at the moment. Everybody wants to buy something to improve the quality of life, to perhaps live a better way over the next few years till we have a solution or a final answer on our health and our situation with the coronavirus. And that's the short story. The plague.
Yeah, the plague.
So what's your best life advice? So in other words, because, you came here with nothing, in essence, from another country, did really well, then lost it all, and then came back stronger than ever. What's the difference that made the difference?
Looking back now over the last 20 years or 25 years since I've been here, I came here with some money. When I was 26, I had good savings. I brought enough money with me to sustain myself for at least 6 to 9 months while I was getting my real estate license. But, it goes very quickly. You go to the mall, and hey, it's like $500 this, and Tommy Hilfiger and Polo was in the 90s, so I had to have every Polo shirt, so I blew that money real quick. So the 6-9 months...
Well, the point being is you didn't come over with millions of dollars.
No.
You had a matter of months of revenue.
I had a timeline, and I exceeded that timeline and ended up with like nothing. So I had to charge up a credit card after I got my real estate license, but no commission, because the first commission you make when you are an agent, unless you have a book of business which is being handed to you, which is very unlikely in the real estate world, takes 3 to 6 months before you get your first paycheck. And that first paycheck could be an $800 commission, not a $5,000 one, what they all promise you, right? So anyways, long story short, what does it take to succeed in this business or any business? Is the main thing is motivation and ambition. You need to be able to to have a vision of where you want to be in life, you have to have a plan.
You got to know what you want.
Absolutely.
You got to know why you want it.
Probably, yes.
And emotionally compelling reason why you want it. Otherwise, you won't work hard at it.
There you go. You're speaking my words then. And you need to be able to execute it. With no matter what. No matter how many hiccups you're going to get, you need to, like Rocky Balboa, how many punches can you take and how many times do you get up?
How many times
it
you get knocked
applies
down
in
before you get
everything in life, I believe. And my wife went through this with me together, and we had nothing. When we started, literally nothing. She was living back at her parents'. I was living with her at her parents' house at, God knows, 40 years old? What an embarrassment after I had SLs and money and watches and houses.
I was sleeping on my dad's couch waiting tables.
Yeah. So,
at a shitty fucking sports bar, which I'm not going to name that sports bar.
But I want to add something to it, which just happened to have, last week or 2 weeks, my parents-in-law came to our house back where we live right now. And my father-in-law said, listen, I got to say something. You did very well. It's unbelievable how far you have come since you were living at my house. And I thank you for that, providing this for my daughter and my kids now. So that was a big deal.
Prost.
Yeah, it was definitely
Not
a
to
big
really
deal.
stroke my own ego, but it's pretty fucking good. We're not there yet where we want to be, but we're going in the right direction. But it's very easy to lose control because if you have 1, 2, 3 very successful months, you make a lot of money, you take it for granted and you let loose of that horse who's riding. That's very easy. And I'm like a victim of this many, many times.
That was when you guys back in the day, that was the thing, was that any good salesperson will sell a bunch of properties, make a bunch of commissions, and then coast because they see their pipeline of all the money coming in. And then the next thing you know, 2-3 months later, all those closings happen, and now they get nothing in the pipeline, and now they're broke.
Yep.
And now because they're broke, they work extra hard to recoup it. So it's kind of
hungry.
It's just like a boom and bust for salespeople.
No, keep riding it as long as you can because it will continue as long as you stay focused on it and you maintain and it comes to you naturally. I don't even do any advertising.
Like in that business, you always got to be generating leads. And what salespeople across the board in all industries, what they typically do, they get a lot of stuff in the pipeline, they get soft, they get comfortable, they coast. Then all those deals come to fruition, they get the big checks, but then they enjoy the checks and the money and the VIP tables and all that stuff. And so they coast. And then they don't line anything up down the road. And then 3 or 4 months go by and they're, I'm going to go get myself a Rolex. They get a car. They go on a trip. Next thing you know, they're totally broke again. They got a couple grand left. They're like, I need a deal. I need leads.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working real hard. And so that's the temptation, because success is not a good teacher. Success can make you lazy and complacent and take things for granted. And then you don't do those little things that you need to do on a consistent basis to make the revenue come in. And so when it comes to being self-reliant, it's like you have to motivate yourself to do that and not get lazy, not get complacent, and stop doing the little things that made you successful.
Yes, sir.
Good point. Yep.
Takes a lot of hard work.
Hard
Oh,
work.
yeah.
A lot of hard work to continue.
Did you have some scallops at dinner?
I did. I
think
I
you-
enjoyed myself.
Say
They
it.
were good.
Just say scallops.
Yeah,
Scallops. I had some scallops.
I had scallops.
She doesn't say scallops. She said, I had some scallops.
I had some scallops.
Scallops for dinner.
You always make fun of my accent. I still love you, though.
I love you too.